Hello, fellow adventurers, and welcome to Artistic Adventures. We're finishing up our Vampire Slayer project today. This is part 5. We're going to make her a cloak with a hood and also add some finishing touches with a few suggestions from you guys, and I appreciate those. So first of all, Sarah said, hey, you forgot that you're supposed to have a strap on there to strap around her thigh on the sword so that it doesn't, pull up when she draws the sword. And yeah, that's very true. So I'm just going to glue this leather trim material to the middle of the sword, and we'll put that on the doll later. But that'll hold it down to her thigh. Now, I had another suggestion from Mary. Well, she had several. How about a bottle of holy water inside of her cloak? And I thought, what a great idea. Now I'm just about down to the last drops of my glue here, but I think I have enough for this project. So I'm going to glue this little cross on the holy water, and that's another addition. And then Mary also suggested she needed some protection for her wrist in case a vampire wanted to take a little drink out of that area. So we're going to make her some leather cuffs, and I'll put those on in a minute. Just sort of, and then I'm going to have this little metal decorative piece cuff around them, and that's how they turned out. So cuffs on each wrist to protect it. So now I'm going to be making the hood part of the cloak. At first I thought I was going to make a coat. That's the bottom of the hood right there and the top. But I actually did make a coat, and it just didn't have the right look for the Vampire Slayer. So I'm going to go with basically a cape or cloak with a hood, and that ended up looking a whole lot more like the character that I had envisioned. So I sewed around the curved part of the back of the hood, and then now I'm hemming the front of the hood. I did a double roll of fabric and hemmed that. And then we can put that aside. That's all we're going to do to the hood. So all we have to do is turn it, and it's really completed until we attach it to the other part of the cloak. And now for the cloak, what I did is basically I cut a half of circle of fabric. I didn't cut a whole circle like you've seen me do. And this is the top neckline up at the top. That's going to go around her neck and attach to the hood. So half a circle, measured it from her shoulders to her toes. And now what I'm doing is hemming the front part that will open, and then going on down to hem the bottom of it. And I'm also doing a double roll of the fabric here. And by the way, this is sort of a polyester crepe de chine type fabric. It's a little bit flowy, but also thick enough that it doesn't look, too thin for a cloak. With these smaller, small dolls, you have to worry about the way it drapes. So sometimes you have to use a more flimsy fabric than you might on an adult human, just because of the way it will drape or not drape. So this is nice and thick, but also kind of drapey. So that's going to work good. So now I've got all that hemming done. Now we're going to put the right side of the hood edge to the right side of the collar of the cloak, and we're just going to pin those together. The hood edge is a little bit longer than the edge of the cloak neckline, so I'm doing a little bit of gathering with my pins, and the gathering is all pretty much at the back. I'm making the front part not gathered, and then we're just going to sew that seam. And then once I have the pins out, I'm actually going to go back and sew that inner seam down just to give it a more finished look, since I'm not lining the cape. So I'm just folding the seam that we just sewed down towards the cape, the body of the cape, and then putting a seam on top of that. And that just gives it a little bit more finished look. And then I'm cutting 2 straps of that leather and sewing 1 strap to each edge of the neckline of the cloak, and that'll be what she ties around her neck to hold the cloak on. Easy peasy, right? Yeah, this was pretty simple to sew, and it ended up looking the way I wanted it to. So there it's laid out with the hood up at the top. Now we're going to attach the holy water bottle and a stake to the inside of the cloak. Um, just using some of those fake leather strips that we used on the bustier. And I'm just going to tack it down on either side with thread. I didn't want to glue it because the glue would go through and look funny on the front since we're doing this on the inside. This way, just the black thread doesn't really look that bad on the front, just a couple little puckers. Mary had some other cute ideas, I thought, like a list of vampire names that you could keep in a scroll and maybe some extra crosses or a hammer. Since this is a cloak instead of a coat, I was a little bit worried about putting too many heavy things inside of it. So I thought just an extra spike and an extra holy water with a cross on it would be good. But you could do all of those things, Mary. Those were really imaginative ideas. I liked them. Now I'm putting another strip that will be on the top of the bottle, and this should be enough to hold it in since the crosses on the front will kind of keep it from slipping out. So I'm just tacking it down on either side of the bottle tight enough that it will hold it, and just doing a couple of stitches with the thread doubled enough to hold it in. And now we're going to take it and slide an extra stake in there because you can never have too many wooden stakes when you're a vampire slayer. All right, so there's her secret inside the cape, and that's how the cape's going to look from the front. Got the hood with the ties, and now I think it's time to try it on the doll, and let's see our finished look. So there she is with the cape and the hood on. I switched out her wig to a shorter wig since she's wearing this hood. And there's the back, and she's got the crossbow slung over her shoulder. I put a strap on that, and then there's the armbands again with the decorative metal cuffs. And here she is with an arm up, and you can see the holy water and stake inside the cape. It's folded back a little bit. And here's how she looks with the hood off. So that's the end of our Vampire Slayer project. That was really fun. It was challenging, but I like the way it turned out. And I'm now thinking I will do a vampire male to be her counterpart. That's not going to be next, probably, but we have lots of other things coming up. So subscribe and don't miss a thing. Thanks, and bye.